Hello, everybody. John Thomas from Fire Inspector Services again. Today we're going to talk about fireworks. As a pyrotechnician for over 20 years, I still hold a ATF license to purchase, transport, and detonate explosives. So let's talk a little bit about this. So we're going to talk about the transportation, the setup of the show, parts of the shells and the mortars, firing the show, and the type of injuries, and then our final inspection. One thing I'm going to stress to this whole program is you never go into what we call as the ground zero where we're setting up the fireworks. First responders do not go in that area no matter what happens. The only people that are in there are the pyrotechnicians and their helpers. Most companies are going to transport their explosives in a simple straight job truck. Most states require that the company file a route with the state police. The fireworks company should be escorted by the municipality into the area where the shoot's going on. It just gives a little extra security when we're doing things. So what you're seeing here is the explosive truck and the support vehicle. All the racks are emptied out. They're going to be checked before they're set up, and they'll be set up into the different areas. When we set up our main show, if you notice that the main show is there's areas where the pyrotechnicians can walk around in between the racks. This way we can, as we're firing, if we can go from different areas, or if we need to get out of the area, we get out of the area quick. On the lower end where the finale is, once we fire that, it's going to hopefully keep going. We keep it covered. This way, if any hot papers coming from the main show don't set the finale off, because that really stinks when you're in the middle of your show and all of a sudden your finale starts going up. I'm going to ask everybody, if you would you look down the barrel of that tank? Well, if you say no, you're right. Why would you look down the barrel of a mortar? It can kill you just as much. A smoldering mortar means that there could be burning paper in the bottom or a smoldering shell that's going to detonate. Never look down a mortar for any reason unless the pyrotechnician's there and he tells you it's safe. Here we set up our racks for our main show. If you look on the left side, those are 3-inch single fire. And then on the right side, it's a 3-inch, what it calls a flight of 10. So on the single fire, we're going to fire one at a time. And they're going to go up one at a time. On a flight, once I light that match, 10 rounds are going to start going up. This is the reason why when we make our racks, we make our racks to NFPA specs. So if something happens, the rack won't fall over or the rack won't totally destroy and the other mortars will hit the floor. So here's the parts of the shell. If you look at the wire going through the top, that's going to go all the way down to the bottom. And it's going to go to what they call a lift charge. It's just a bag of gunpowder. So when it's in the mortar, it's going to be tight, and the lift charge is going to ignite and send that shell into the air. There are a number of time delay fuses in there. One is going to hit the burst charge, which is going to give you all the stars igniting. That's all the colors. And then another one's going to go down into the flash, into the report. That's the other bang that you'll hear when the shell's in this guy. These are 1-inch cakes on the top. Where all it is cardboard, wire, and glue. That's all that's holding it together. So once you light it, those shells are going to start going up one at a time. Now, sometimes the boxes start burning. Don't worry about it. We know that's going to happen. We'll get to it at one point. We have water cans available to us, and we'll put it out. Don't worry about it. Don't start running onto the ground zero area because you see a flame in the middle of the field. It's okay. On the lower end is 1/2-inch cakes. So all that is paper and glue. And it's just going to give you some shots in the air. Again, if it starts burning, leave it. It's okay. On here, we're going to show you on the lower left side is bandolier fireworks going to a pinwheel. So the bandolier will light that. It'll start sending the pinwheel into one direction. It may stop and then start going into another direction. So don't think just because it's stopped and it's out. It's not. It may continue on. On the right side is another set of bandolier firecrackers going to Roman candles and bottle rockets, that once the firecrackers light off, it'll fuse the Roman candles with a bottle rocket, sending that in the air. That's called all ground displays. There are three ways of firing the shell. One is computerized shell. The other one is use a hot box, where we have to hit a button for every mortar that we want, or section of mortars that we want to go up. And the way we used to fire is by street flares. This is showing the scenes behind in the control room at Disney, where the pyrotechnicians will load certain shells into certain mortars, and they'll tie a wire to it. They'll do a continuity check, and while they're doing that, the lead pyrotechnician is setting up the music to the show. Once it's set up, all the mortars are loaded. It'll make sure the area is clear. He'll hit one button, and his music will start, and the fireworks will start flying. Here, this is a 8-inch mortar in a container of sand, a fiber sand that was spiked in. What happened was, again, if it's done the right way, even if it goes wrong, it keeps everybody safe. For some reason, the plug on the bottom, the wood plug on the bottom, shrank, and it blew at the bottom of the mortar. Nobody got hurt. Shell went up in the air. Everything was safe. Here is where a shell got stuck in the mortar, and it blew the mortar apart. The thing is that the rack was built to NFPA specs. The rack stayed together, only the bottom part blew out. All the mortars stayed in place. So none of the mortars, if it was a flight and those mortars hit the ground, that means those shells are gonna fly all over the place on the ground. We don't want that. We want everything to go in the air. That blew out. Once it blew out, that mortar was not used again. I mean, that rack was not used again. It was safely unloaded, and nobody got hurt. Some of the things you're going to look at, not just on a public shoot, but when civilians are using this, you're going to hit heat and flame injuries, titanium burns. The thing with pyrotechnicians is we'll know what shells have titaniums. If you have civilians running fireworks, they may not know that they have a titanium shell in there. Shock, blindness from the flash going up, amputations from shells blowing body parts off, blast injuries, internal injuries from the concussion of the blast, head concussions, and ear damage. Consumer Product Safety Commission puts flyers out every year on reports, and it tells people safe ways of firing fireworks. We say if you're not licensed, don't fire it. Even small things like sparklers can burn people. This is showing the main area, what we call as the ground zero. You saw in every ground zero area may not be set up exactly like this, but it all come into one section where the main show is set up, the finale is set up, cakes, the boxes, and the ground effects. Now we aim our mortars so we can have a fallout area, an area where we know everything, all the parts. When the shell bursts open, we have what we call as the coconuts. What's left over is going to come back on the ground, and we want it to go into a fallout area. If for some reason a shell does not burst open, it should drop in our fallout area. So when you start looking at go to do the inspection of the racks, if you're a fire inspector, you don't touch the racks. You go over to the lead pyro. The lead pyro will walk you around and show you what parts of the show is, and show you where his fallout area is going to be. Never ever enter the ground zero area unless the pyrotechnician knows you're going to come in there. He'll walk you through this. Once the racks are down and they start loading the shells, that area is now owned by the pyrotechnician. He's responsible for anything that goes on, and you should not enter that area. The explosive truck should always have somebody by it when the explosives are on board. They won't unload the explosive until the pyrotechnician asks one of the helpers to bring a set of shells over, and they'll come out box by box. Never slide a box of shells on a wood floor. Static charge can set these boxes off. If a pyrotechnician goes down, do not, any circumstances, go into that ground zero to get him out. The pyrotechnician will tell you it's safe to go get him. If all the pyros are down, you wait 30 to 45 minutes after the last shell is fired. If you've gotten towards the end of that 30 to 45 minutes and another shell goes up, you start that clock all over again. Recommendation is to go in with a backboard and a collar if the pyrotechnician is down. That's just strictly a recommendation. Get them out. If the pyrotechnicians are there, they'll lead you in to also help you try to get the guy out. If you find a live shell on the ground, secure the area. Don't go anywhere in that perimeter. Contact the pyrotechnician. The pyrotechnician will go and cut down the clean fuse. And if he feels that has to, he'll put it in a bucket of water or disarm it with putting it out with a water can. If for some reason after the shoot's done, the pyrotechnician has cleared the scenes and you find a live shell, again, do the same thing, secure the area, contact them right away. They are responsible for their shells. After a fireworks shoot has been completed, they should be coming back the next day to walk that field to make sure that there's nothing left on the field. They'll come back the next day. Breaking down the rocks, once a shoot's gone up, the pyrotechnicians will start walking the racks. They're going to be checking to make sure there's no live rounds in there or smoking mortars. Once the racks are cleared, the helpers will turn them over, empty them out to make sure all the paper and everything is out, and that the racks are safe to get loaded back onto the truck. Any questions, go on our website at www.fireinspectorservicesllc.com, or you can email us at fireinspectorservicesoutlook.com. Any questions? This podcast will be listed on just on YouTube, but on our website. Thank you very much, and stay safe out there.